edition. We can do it all in surround sound because we got this Metalworks, the studio that Gil owns. We can do all the audio work there. We can get it cleared with all the record companies. We get Warner Brothers to lead it because they had Van Halen and whoever else that they had.
Was Crew there?
And Crew, yeah, or even CBS because there's Ozzy. But so one of the big companies to lead it, and we'll do the entire thing. We'll give some money to charity. It'll be a huge thing. He goes, I sold the tapes.
Really?
I said, you what? He said, I sold the tapes. I said, why? He says, I didn't. Why the storage was costing me a fortune. I said, Steve, you have a fortune.
Yeah, exactly. That guy pleading hardship is hard to take, man.
Hard to believe. So some guy in Florida owns them now.
Really? Do you know who? I mean, did you try to contact him? Does he have his own plans for him?
No, they contacted me actually because they wanted to put together like an anniversary, the 25th anniversary
compilation
thing.
Or something.
A compilation, like 3 songs from every band, kind of thing. And I said, that's great. Let's see what the deal is. Never heard from them again.
Right.
You know, because I don't think they'll get clearance on it.
Yeah, because even though the other bands don't own their performances, they'd still need to sign off and get a deal made for that.
Oh, it'd be a nightmare. It would be a nightmare. So we could front the deal because we own it, right? We're the
Right.
first ones in the door, kind of. And
right.
like every record company called me and said, how did you get that footage? How did that happen? You know, Sony phoned and Warner's phoned when we put the DVD out.
Sure, the Van Halen stuff people would kill for. I mean, there's tons of bootlegs of it, but
yeah, I mean the real deal, you know, would be incredible.
That's the show when Roth come out.
Yeah, no,
he forgets the words to the whole first song or something.
Yeah,
I have it on tape.
Yeah, David talked for most of the show, and I wonder why.
Well, yeah,
I got a question.
You can ask a famous disc jockey, jock from KLOS as well. He can tell you why.
Well, I got a question. As a
I can only imagine that there's some sort of substance of
No. I'm just curious.
I didn't say
whatever
that.
Mike said.
We've talked about this a lot. What do you think about the whole the change of music from the whole downloading thing and the way media has changed and Netflix and all these things that are just like Eddie and I are from, and you as well, from that generation, used to love to buy the CD or the record or the tape and look at the literature. And now that's like, there's a whole generation of kids or you know, music lovers that just, they don't have the tangible music in their hands. It's just, I was just curious to what you feel about that. Like, what you know, do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Like,
you know what it reminds me of, Mike? It reminds me of when I was a kid and I had a transistor radio. And I'd listen to Top 40 radio because there was no FM radio. FM didn't even exist then. And you listen to AM radio and you listen to the hits, and you went and bought a single if you liked it. And if you
45.
Yeah, 45. Yeah, or 78,
sure.
which predates me by
about
6 months or so. but now it's like it's a song at a time, and that's kind of a drag. And you know, the advent of technology has its great issues, you know, but it also has some horrible issues. For example, my pet peeve, MP3.
Right.
How to make good music sound abysmal.
I know. That's one of the things that gets taken out of the equation all the time with the whole MP3 thing. You know, the whole thing about CDs, you know, there's still people that believe that vinyl is the best sounding format, and I'm sure it is, if you really... But the point is that
crackle.
The whole thing that I don't hear anybody talk about with all the downloading the MP3 stuff is the audio quality.
Yeah,
and what baffles me doing radio is that now 90% of labels are sending out their new releases to us radio folks as digital files, as on the computer. And then I take them, I rip them to my own CD on my computer, I bring them in here, I play them on here, it goes out on the air even more compressed with this compression of the radio station. And I'm like, you hear these artists and all they put into making their records, and then the method that they're delivering them to the public is just... it just doesn't hold up.
And I was in the studio one time with Zach, and I'll never forget this, when he was recording something and laying some tracks down, and then he was playing the master tape, and I was like, what the heck is that? Like, it was the most incredible, full-sounding thing that I've ever heard in my life, and that, you know, that you just don't get that sort of... Does that make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, you know, the best... I shouldn't say the best your record will ever sound is in the studio, because that's not necessarily true. But when you're finished, with a mix, and you've sequenced your tape, back in the old days when you did this with tape and not Pro Tools
Right.
files, and you'd sit back and you'd have a beer or whatever, and kick your feet up on the console and put it up to 12 and listen to it, and you go, wow.
Yeah.
Does that ever sound sensational? And then after you master it, and you go to one of the great mastering engineers who puts all the nice fluff on it, and then you hear it on a radio station, and you go, wow, that's incredible too. You know, because there was no extra compression. The compression came from the radio stations. Like you'd master and mix a record, so you'd pound the compressor, so the low end would pump really nicely. So there was an art form in actually creating a record that sounded a certain way on the radio as well. Because everybody's home stereo sounds different, so you can't mix for one particular stereo.
Fisher.
It just shows. It just goes
So
to show.
wind me up and now I'll shut up.
No, I think that's
But
awesome.
it just goes to show that in this, we're in a totally different world. Just before tonight, I came from an event that I hosted in Times Square with Aerosmith, where they introduced this Guitar Hero game that's got their name on it. That's got pros and cons attached to it, but the biggest pro is that all these young kids are getting turned on to guitar-based rock. So that's really cool. But as far as the delivery system of the whole iPod MP3 thing, I think what it shows is that most people, the regular person that doesn't care about all the bells and whistles or cares about how much something sounds, at the end of the day, convenience rules out overall. They don't care about what it sounds like as long as it's convenient. I can put 1,000 songs into something the size of a matchbook, I'm happy. It sounds okay to me, I'll throw my headphones on when I go to the beach, I'm good. Or at the gym. So they don't, they don't think about it as much. And I get that, I understand that, but hopefully there will be a way to solve all those issues at some point going forward as technology advances,
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it's going to be a drag. I'm glad I'm not in the stereo business because, the kids growing up, they don't know what a stereo system is unless their folks had one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mike Levine of Triumph is in the studio with me. Triumph has reunited. For those that haven't heard, they've already played their first show back in Sweden. Their second show back together will be at Rocklahoma in a couple weeks. And I guess the question becomes, where do we go from here after the reunion happens? I mean, full-blown tour at some point, new record, what are you thinking?
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk about new music yet because we've been trying to relearn the old music, which has been, for all of us, quite a chore at times. And just rearranging it and making it work live, and it's been a lot of fun working on it. We realized we made some really great music. And we certainly can't butcher it when we play live, so we better make sure we know what we're doing out there.
Get the tape, what do you got, the loop?
Oh man, it's like we've gone through live tapes and listen. Wow, that was a great arrangement. We're going to take a piece of that and do this and do that, So it's been fun doing it, but for new music, we haven't even addressed the fact whether we're going to go back in the studio or not. I think just getting past these two shows and finding out, we can have fun together. I mean, we all signed a little letter agreement that said the most important thing in capital letters is that we have fun.
Right.
So you think the passions come back a little bit, or at least just what you originally started in?
I think so. We're like a bunch of kids playing
awesome.
again. It's like we're laughing and having fun on stage, even when someone makes a mistake. Which we did. There were some mighty clams in Sweden.
Clank.
But that's going to happen. That happened when we played before, when we were playing arenas everywhere. So, but everybody's turning around, a big smile. Yeah, I got you. We have a fine system of rehearsal. I think Emmett owes about $100,000 to the pool now for his mistakes, and he's been playing for 20 years, and I haven't been. So he's in deep now.
Are you guys playing as a pure trio, or in the past you've had a fourth guy sometimes out there with you? How are you handling that?
We have a fourth guy, a guy named Dave Dunlop, great guitar player.